welcome into Carpooling with Ben, folks. He is a wonderful guy. Aside from the fact that he's a doctor and he's founded an amazing nonprofit organization and just doing incredible work, he's also the proud driver of a Chevy Silverado. You're the first doctor I've ever met that's pulled up in a nice Chevy Silverado. Dr. Tom Mancini Podiatrist extraordinaire.
Thank you.
Did I just add that? Extraordinaire? Or did that come when you graduated?
No. You added that.
Oh, okay.
That was ad lib, but thank you.
Do you want me to edit your diploma?
No, you can. That's all right. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you're here, and we're talking about you have recently received the Humanitarian Award for your service, what you've done over in Africa with your clinic of hope there, and just so first and foremost, welcome to the car. And
Thank you.
For those who don't know who you are, just the briefly, who are you, what do you do, and how long you've been a doctor?
All right. Well, I graduated in 1988, so 30 years now.
You were 10 years old when you graduated.
Exactly.
You're like Doogie Howser right here.
Exactly. Child prodigy.
Yeah.
And been in practice since then. Originally North Providence, where we're driving.
Sure.
And then opened in East Greenwich, and now a little location in East Providence.
Okay.
To kind of keep things covered. And board certified in foot surgery.
Okay.
Proud member of the Rhode Island Podiatric Medical Association, which is a great bunch of men and women who are the go-to foot and ankle surgeons in Rhode Island, physicians and surgeons. And in 1998, I got invited to Togo, West Africa on a mission trip through our church,
Okay.
New Hope Christian Church in Swansea, and didn't really want to go.
Yeah.
I had no overwhelming urge or desire, but my pastor kind of nudged me a little bit and said, hey, give this a try, see what you think.
Sure.
And it's been moving right along since then.
And the rest is history.
The rest
as
is
they say.
history, yeah.
So talk to me about what you've opened up over there.
Well, again, our church started sending financial contributions and praying for the work that some of the guys were doing. Pioneers Togo is the name of their organization, just helping out the villages and stuff in 93. And then in 98 was our first trip. And, honestly, initially, my impression was not very positive. I wasn't really thrilled until I started to meet the people and realize the urgency of their medical needs, the suffering. So from 98 to 2003, I just kind of went where Pioneers pointed me.
Okay.
Different villages, a couple hours here, a couple hours there, brought other doctors, brought other nurses, other medical help. Once, twice a year, sometimes more often. And in 2003, two different village chiefs, one in the north of the country, one in the south of the country, just came up to us and said, you guys need to open a full-time clinic here. And I had never thought of that at all. And I kind of said to him, well, yeah, okay, great idea, thank you.
Yeah.
But on that trip was Debbie Mata, who's a registered nurse. She was living in Sonnet at the time, Massachusetts. And
Okay.
I remember on the flight back, I didn't feel good. I was leaning against the window, and the person sitting next to me, someone came up and said, can I trade seats with you? I want to talk to Dr. Tom. And it was Debbie. And she said, do you mind if I look into a business plan for how we can open clinics? Are you serious about opening a clinic? And I, again, I really hadn't thought of it, but I said, yeah, look into a business plan. Her husband is a wonderful businessman, and a couple of weeks later, they came up with a plan which we implemented, obviously, and essentially the key of that plan was we could open a full-time clinic, staff it with Togolese trained medical people, nurse practitioner, midwife, registered nurse, for about, including medicines, equipment, supplies, for about $5,000 a year. The salaries, everything for all that.
Wow.
As long as the village contributed a building,
Sure.
and provided security, and
Sure.
kept an eye on things so that
Logistical stuff.
yeah, logistical stuff, yeah,
on site,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. So I had no idea that it was that cost effective. So at that point, we opened our first clinic. Our premise was to not open near a government clinic because we didn't want to interfere with the government or disrespect the government or anything like that. And we needed government support, and we appreciate the support that we get from the Togolese government. And unfortunately, we opened on the top of a mountain in a village called Kumabala, And literally, if we had gone a couple hundred yards further, we would have hit a government clinic.
Oh, wow.
But
Okay.
we thought we were as high as we could go, as far as we could go. So the government, temporarily closed the clinic because it was literally very close to a government clinic. But they asked us to open 3 more clinics in a little bit of a different area that actually had a greater need medically.
Wow.
So we went from 1 to 3 in a matter of weeks, and those 3 are still in existence. And we've since opened 4 more.
Wow.
4 more clinics. Yeah.
That's incredible. Now, talk to me about the need that's over there. Obviously, you being a podiatrist, you have a focus on foot and ankle, and obviously, if that's not healthy, that's where disease can start. That can be life-threatening, I would imagine.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. Never tried to be one. But I know, from the ground up, and,
Sure.
and in a lot of cases, footwear is a luxury item over there.
Right. Yeah, most patients there don't wear shoes. They wear flip-flops or barefoot. A lot of foot pathology, a lot of real interesting tropical foot pathology. Borrelias ulcer is an emergent tropical disease that they get on the legs. Young people, tropical ulcers affect young people primarily also. Diabetes, unfortunately,
Okay.
most type 1 diabetes don't survive in Togo.
Sure.
The type 2 diabetics often poorly controlled, a lot of foot manifestations. But interestingly enough, Ben, I tried desperately in the beginning to promote myself as a foot and ankle specialist in Togo, and they just wouldn't listen.
Okay.
I was literally on TV, I was on the radio, bring me your foot problems. I'm a foot specialist. I want to take care of foot problems. And the need is so great. They're just desperate, and they come with eye problems and total body things. So I've had to learn a lot of tropical medicine. I've had to be very, obviously, cautious to not treat things that I'm not able or capable to treat.
Sure.
But I've worked with excellent physicians in America, excellent physicians in Togo. So I treat a lot of malaria and malnutrition, diarrhea, a lot of tropical diseases,
Sure.
as well as feet. But recently, with this award and with an incredible amount of support from the Rhode Island Podiatric Medical Association, my vision has changed, and also my interest in Togo is really these tropical ulcerations. They're horrifying. They're fascinating. They're debilitating. They hit people in their youth, and they're reasonably easy to treat.
But they need to be treated.
They need to be treated.
If they're left ignored, then it's
life-threatening, limb-threatening, death. So, my vision now has kind of changed a little bit. I'd like to open a foot health center in the country and have our clinics, but also go out into these communities where people are suffering with these wounds, bring them into a central location. Nutrition is critical in healing these wounds, as it is in wounds in America. Feed them, provide them the medical care, have them live with us at a central location for 6 weeks, guesstimating, 30
Sure.
to 60 days. Get these wounds treated, get them healed, get them back into the community. And, so our plan is moving forward to get government support for that. It was actually originally the Minister of Health's idea. They asked me on a number of occasions to open a foot center. So we're looking into that more now to treat those.
And this Humanitarian Award that you've been awarded, I'm sure, you're a very humble guy. You're not driving a fancy, high-end, $100,000 plus vehicle. You got a nice, because you're a man's man. You're out there, you're working man. You're a lunch pail kind of guy.
Well, yeah, I got my lunch pail in the back seat of my Silverado, exactly.
And you're being that you're not really somebody who's seeking out the attention per se. This award, which has been given to you, you're very humble in receiving it. But it's amazing how this can help to raise awareness, right, and to the mission that you're doing. How is it working with the government over there? I mean, they're on your side?
Yeah.
But to essentially to simplify it, how is it working with them?
Yes, they're on our side. There's many levels of the government, like here. So different levels, have different levels of authority and different motivations and different, things that they focus on. So, you know, when we meet with the regional medical directors, regional medical doctors, you know, their focus is to get as much help as they can for their region. Okay. So they want us to open all our clinics there and do everything there. As you move higher up, sometimes their motivation is to be careful that the clinics are well staffed, well positioned, you know, quality care. They don't want to open up clinics that are going to harm people. So, you know, their motivation is to make sure that we have a good location, adequate facilities, and sometimes that's a little frustrating because it's not really clear cut. So they make things up a little bit. Okay. And then, so ultimately, what our vision is going forward is to meet with the Minister of Health, who's the top doc in the country, similar to our Surgeon General. Sure. Get that person's approval to open the foot center, and then move forward and use that authority to kind of help smooth things out with the regional and the local doctors. We've always had great reception with the regional and local doctors. We opened our most recent clinic in the north in a village called Napimbu. Really difficult village, difficult tribe, a lot of medical suffering. You know, and the recent report from that regional doctor was, well, you know, your building's not up to standards because there's no running water. There's no running water in the whole village. Okay. There's no running water probably within, you know, miles. Sure. So we'd have to drill an artesian well at $15,000. Just you know, just not able to do it. You know. Right. So his next thing was, well, then you need to move to this village, which also doesn't have running water, but happens to be his village. Okay. So, you know, it was his motivation that there's no running water, or was his motivation that, you know, he wants us to go to the village? And his claim was that the village in Napimbu is heavily served medically, and it's really not. Okay. So my response to that was, you know, ask him if we can continue Napimbu. Next time we go, we'll visit his village. I'm not against opening anywhere. I'd like to open one in every village. Sure. And you know, and just see what we can do as far as providing, you know, the necessary infrastructure. Most of our clinics, 6 of the 7, are what they call in the bush, which is no running water, no electricity. We have solar power, we have dug wells, we have latrines, and that's, you know, pretty much kind of how those clinics run. One of our clinics, the main clinic, is in the second largest town called Socade, population 260,000 or so, and that's, you know, running water, electricity, inpatient beds. We have ultrasound, X-ray, a lab. Wow. We can have 8-10 people stay there for an extended period of time if they need to for care. So that's a clinic that we assumed. We didn't open that clinic. That was opened in probably 2000, and it was actually opened to honor me. They named it after me initially. Oh, wow. The organization that opened it. And then, so when you show up there, they give you like a mop and bucket and say, "Here's your building, clean it up." Yeah, exactly. Yeah, got to do all the work. And we actually have a cleaning lady in that clinic. Her name is Alice, and Alice speaks wonderful English, and she's an absolutely wonderful lady. She's pretty cool, and she does a great job of keeping that building clean for us. So, shout out to Alice. Shout out to Alice. You're awesome, Alice. She is, and if she heard that, she would, you know, thank you, doctor. Very formal. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. So then we took it over as a Clinics of Hope clinic. So we pay rent for that building. Okay. in that large city. But the majority of the clinics are very, you know, these guys are working solar power, delivering babies, you know, 1 little bulb, wow. You know, 2 little bulbs. That's amazing. You know, and it's interesting, Ben, we put the solar power in the villages, and it's not very good solar power, but it's what they have. And the report comes back that every night all the local children are sitting under that 1 little bare bulb hanging from the side of the clinic to do their homework. Wow. There's no electricity in the whole village. Sure. And then the report comes back from Togo. The village chiefs want to use our buildings to have their, you know, leadership sessions or village meetings and stuff, because it's the only building with electricity in the whole village. Understood. So of course that's good. Yep. So it's interesting how you often get more for your money than you expect. Well, you just wanted to, you know, it started out for you just as a mission strip, and, you know, what can you do there as a podiatrist, and it's turned into this full range of medical care and building and helping to, you know, assist, you know, overall
health and well-being there, which is pretty incredible.
Right.
If people want to learn more about what you're doing, or get involved, or if somebody wants to, make a donation, what's the best way for people to connect and learn more about the organization in general?
Sure. Our website is www.clinicsofhope.org.
Okay.
And that's Debbie Marta's son Aaron set that up for us. Great job.
Good job,
that
Aaron.
has PayPal if someone wants to donate that way.
Okay.
And also it shares some stories. It shows how we impact people's lives there. And then also we have a Facebook page, Clinics of Hope, which is updated, sometimes more frequently. It's a little easier
Well,
for
we
me
will certainly tag all of those. And folks, if you want to learn more about the great work being done, if you want to read more about Dr. Mancini, his efforts and the whole efforts over there, it always amazes me how tiny little Rhode or southern New England, as you mentioned your church out of Swansea there, how this little area is having such a massive impact literally on the other side of the world, all over the world in different places, and how, we've got so many great things here, you being one of them, the
thank you.
podiatrist extraordinaire.
Thank you.
You sure I can't adjust your diploma? I've got white out.
It sounded pretty good now. So I'm getting used to it. It's amazing. And when in '93, the lady leading the missions teams at New Hope was a lady, Ann Bernard, and she used to say, that she felt God had given us Togo to serve, to care for people, and quite honestly, I remember thinking that's kind of a lofty. We're a little church in Swansea, Massachusetts, like you said. Yeah, who are we? But right now, as we speak, our missionaries, again, Pioneers Togo, men and women, the clinics, we put in wells in villages. We have 65 orphans we take care of. We plant churches. We do literacy training. We have a small business program. We're about 2/3 of the way up the country. Wow. And it's really saturation with sharing God's love with the people. And that was our goal initially with everything that we did.
Sure.
And it's just really been an incredible blessing to be able to do that and just to see, how far it goes. It's people often say to me, how do you do everything that you do? And it's not really that hard. It just flows. We have difficulties. We have things we have to deal with sometimes, but for the most part, it really just flows. And that's kind of a confirmation that we're in the right place and we're doing what we should be doing,
That's so great. Folks, you can get involved. You can be part of it. To learn more, please go check them out. It's truly amazing stories. It's going to move you. And, from a guy that all you wanted to do there was take care of people's hangnails or, something like that, or, help them with a bunion or something. And look at this. Look at all that you have to do now. It's awesome.
Yeah,
So.
It's been a challenge, and I've had to learn a lot and learn things I never expected to see. One of the things in Togo that's unfortunate, but it's exciting as a provider, as a medical person, is you tend to see some pretty serious stuff.
Yeah.
And you tend to see end stage stuff that you would never see in America.
Sure.
Wounds that get down to the bone because they haven't been treated at all.
Sure,
right?
sure, yeah.
Joints that are destroyed by infection because they haven't had an antibiotic.
Right.
So it's fascinating. It's rewarding as a medical profession, but it can also be, it can also knock you down.
Sure. Problem, it's so big. How can you do all of this and be involved in so much? So
exactly. And that's where in my opinion, the faith aspect kind of kicks in, and you just realize that you're doing the best you can for each individual, and beyond that, it's in God's hands.
There you go.
Yeah, it's tough to leave the country sometimes.
Sure.
We'll there's villages where we work and we'll take care of an infection or something, for example, and do a minor surgery, and as we're driving away, 6 people are limping down the road with that same problem, going, hey, can you take care of me?
Sure.
And they just, we have to go.
Right.
So that was another blessing of opening the clinics where we can say, well, we're leaving, but go to the clinic.
That's great.
And we'll tell our staff, you're going to get 3 people from this particular village and do everything free for them.
That's so great.
Yeah, so it's really cool to be able to take care of those things, you know.
Awesome. Doc, thank you for joining me in the car.
Yeah,
I know
nice
you're
to
very
meet you.
busy,
Yeah,
and
no problem. Thank
you guys are doing some incredible stuff over there. And folks,
Thank
please, they could use your support. They'd love your support.
Absolutely.
And to learn more about it, just follow the links in the website. And I think I got to return you back to your incredible Chevy Silverado.
Thank you.
We could do a carpooling in that. It'll be a little higher up, though.
We'd have to rig all your cameras, but it certainly would be pretty good.
I'll do what I can.
Yep.
So.
I'd have to hide my lunchbox, but I could do that for you. I could do that.